All right. This is going to be my last homework submission for Lynn 578. So, just to get right into it, the first question I ask is why do you want to become an ENL teacher? So, I feel like personally for me, why I want to be an ENL teacher is really just because of the personal experiences that I've had. So going to Hicksville Middle School, Hicksville High School when I was younger, that introduced me to a really large ENL population. We have a very large Salvadorian population, actually. So a lot of my friends ended up being those Salvadorian ENL students who I still speak to today. And I feel like just like hearing from their personal experiences growing up and hearing about their own personal struggles that they had, whether that was in school, right, or outside, because there were a lot of things that had to do with that as well, that I feel like that kind of just inspired me and made me want to help out that student population specifically. So next question asks what motivates or inspires you to work with multilingual learners. So I think what really motivates me the most to do it is again just being able to know that, or being able to know. I guess just really being able. Sorry, being being able to see like how my friends who went through that ENL experience when they were younger, now as adults, like have become like just absolutely awesome people. I know a couple of them even committed to schools for soccer as a result. So that was just like such a cool experience to be able to see that, and it makes me want to have my ENL students do the same, right? It's like if I could have an ENL kid that comes from speaking not a word of English and doesn't participate with the school at all to being somebody who's actively participating in clubs, sports, stuff like that, and they become a fluent English speaker, like I feel like that's really just the ultimate goal and what motivates me the most. So how has your confidence as a public speaker or teacher developed this semester? I feel like it's gotten pretty good. I feel like I've gotten a bit more confident. I really feel like the best thing that we've had is just the constant exposure to public speakers. I feel like that's something that really helped me the most. Just being able to not only see other public speakers and how they act, whether it was at the thing at the Wang Center that we had, or just all the guest speakers who we had enter the classroom throughout the semester. I feel like it really just helped me self-reflect on my own presentations and see where I could improve from after watching other great presenters. Um, so next thing it's going to be asking me is what are my strengths when speaking or teaching. So I think that hands down my best strength that I have is just going to be how I'm able to make things personable for the students when I'm teaching. I always try in my presentations to relate what I'm talking about to something that the students already know about, right? I feel like that's the biggest thing, especially for social studies, just because oftentimes you hear from students, and I know I was somebody who used to say this too, is why are we learning this if I'm not going to use it? Right? Because the idea behind that is they think that it doesn't have anything to do with the world around them. So just during my teaching, especially as a social studies teacher, I always try and connect my topics while presenting to something that's personal to them, in order to help garner just more interest in that content. An area I still want to improve in, this is a little specific, but I know one area that I probably need to improve in a little bit is going to be eye contact. I don't know why, but for some reason I just have such an issue with maintaining eye contact with people. Like I'm always just glancing around. I think it's because I just have so much going through my head when I'm presenting that I distract myself, to try and not get too like nervous while I'm presenting, and then I'm going like this the entire time. I'm looking around everywhere else except for at the guest's eyes. So that's probably something that I could improve. What type of classroom environment do you hope to create for students? So it kind of ties into how I said how I'm a presenter that's very personable. I feel like that's really what I want my classroom environment to be, is just like super comfortable for students where they feel like they're almost like at their home away from home, right? So I know something that I even just do as a substitute teacher is whenever I start my presentation for the class, is the first thing I always say to them before we say anything else is if it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, doesn't matter what day it is, I'll be like, hope you're having a happy Tuesday. We're almost halfway through the week. Congrats to you all. You're almost there. And I feel like doing that at the start of my presentations is always just a nice little thing to add in to make the students more comfortable while we're in class. So I really, that I hope that because of that the students remember me as somebody who they can feel comfortable around, and they don't have to feel like is the super strict teacher who's going to yell at them about everything, right? Because it's not who I am personally, and I just want to foster like that sort of connection with them, so that way they're really able to experience like just that comfort, and they're not anxious and worried the whole time they come to class. So how can I bring my own personality, values, and communication style into my teaching? So I feel like I already just kind of do that in general, just because I'm somebody who is naturally I'm a little crazy in a good way, as you said, Professor. So I feel like that's just something that I'm always like if you interact with me, and I don't shy away from that when I present. I'm somebody who's always believed in being yourself as a presenter, so that's just something that I do. So last question is going to be, what does finding your voice as an educator mean to you? And again, what I really just think that means is being yourself, right? If you're somebody who's very stoic and you're a little bit more on the stricter side, then rock with it if that's who you are, right? But then if you're somebody like me who's a little bit crazy but in a good way when they present, then do that too. Don't try and put on some sort of act in front of your students, because at the end of the day, being fake isn't going to help anybody, right? I feel like that just goes for life in general. So those are going to be my answers for the last homework. Thank you so much again, Professor, and hopefully I'll see you soon.